Hello, my name is Nick Lignos, and today I will give a short presentation on Parkinson's disease neuropathology. This presentation will cover the normal functioning of the body, where the malfunctions occur in the individual with Parkinson's disease, why these malfunctions occur, and what are the symptoms due to these malfunctions. So what is Parkinson's disease? Parkinson's disease is a chronic disorder. Chronic meaning it progressively gets worse as time increases with the disease. Parkinson's disease is a progressive movement disorder, once again meaning as time with the disease increases, the effects on the movements of the body and coordination of the body get worse. Parkinson's disease falls under the category of a brain disease, meaning the causes of the symptoms are all based on malfunctions of units in the brain structures. So what are the symptoms? The symptoms of Parkinson's disease fall under two categories: motor-related symptoms and non-motor-related symptoms. The motor-related symptoms include tremors, slowed movement, also known as bradykinesia, muscle rigidness, loss of posture and balance, loss of voluntary movements, speech changes, and inability to perform fine motor tasks. So a tremor, or shaking, usually begins in a limb, often your hand or fingers. You may notice a back and forth rubbing of your thumb and forefinger. This is also known as pill rolling tremor. One characteristic of Parkinson's disease is a tremor of your hand when it is relaxed. Slowed movement, or bradykinesia, in Parkinson's disease, it may reduce your ability to move or slow your movement, making simple tasks difficult and time-consuming. Your steps may become shorter when you walk, or you may find it difficult to get out of a chair. Also, you may drag your feet as you walk, making movement very hard. Muscle rigidness. Muscle stiffness may occur in any part of your body in an individual with Parkinson's disease. The muscle stiffness can limit your range of motion and even cause you pain. Loss of posture and balance. Your posture may become stooped, or you may have balance problems as a result of Parkinson's disease. Loss of voluntary movements. You may have a decreased ability to perform unconscious movements, including blinking, smiling, and swinging your arms when you walk, making coordination very difficult while walking. Speech changes. You may have speech problems as a result of Parkinson's disease. You may speak softly, quickly, slur or hesitate before talking. Your speech may be more of a monotone rather than the usual inflections. Inability to perform fine motor tasks. Like writing, it may become hard to write because of the tremors and other symptoms of Parkinson's disease. The non-motor related symptoms include depression, because dealing with a chronic disorder can have major effects on not only the body, but the mind also. Respiratory problems, sleep disorders. As a result of the respiratory problems, and as well as the tremors, individuals with Parkinson's disease may have a difficult time sleeping. Weight loss. Once the disease gets worse, individuals with the disease are now slow moving and no longer can live the life they once lived. Eating becomes difficult, and weight loss is usually a result. Other symptoms include excessive salivation, difficulty in swallowing, and dementia. So what are the causes of Parkinson's disease? The causes of Parkinson's have been linked to the substantia nigra, and even more specifically linked to the dopaminergic neurons within the brain area. Symptoms are most commonly caused by death of the neurons, loss of myelination of the axons on the neurons, as well as other things that cause neurons to lose their ability to produce dopamine and relay the action potential. Loss of dopamine neurons in the substantia nigra and loss of dopaminergic neurotransmission in the areas of the forebrain which have become denervinated, above all within the striatum. The dorsal striatum expresses mainly D1 and D2 dopamine receptors that mediate the direct and indirect pathways, respectively, to the basal ganglia. The direct and indirect pathways. The balance between the inputs of the direct and indirect pathways through stimulation of dopamine D1 and D2 receptors is essential for the controlling of movement. Loss of dopaminergic neurons in Parkinson's disease results in a decrease in the excitatory activity of the direct pathway and an increase in the inhibitory activity of the indirect pathway. This enhances the activity of the nidal neurons, resulting in decreased motor response and results in some classic Parkinson's disease symptoms such as bradykinesia and rigidity. What's the substantia nigra's function? The substantia nigra regulates movement as well as regulates the function of the neurons themselves. So after all that, the outcome is shown in the next couple of slides. First, let's take a look at the regular functioning dopamine neurons. As you can see, transmitting neurons carry dopamine from the presynaptic neuron, which get released to the synaptic cell and bind to the dopamine receptor on the receiving neuron, also known as the postsynaptic neuron. The important thing to note here is the amount of dopamine neurotransmitters being released and binding to the receptors. If you count, you will see that there is 22. So what exactly goes wrong? As in the previous example, transmitting neurons carry, as you can see, very few dopamine molecules to the synaptic cell compared to the previous slide. In result, less dopamine bind to them and the message doesn't get sent with the intensity or the speed that it regularly would in a normal functioning neuron. So that explains the symptoms. The changes in dopamine and the effects on the area of the brain which regulate movement, coordination, and neuron activity all contribute to producing the symptoms. Due to Parkinson's disease being quite prevalent and a lot of people experiencing the disease, a lot of time and money have been put into the research, and although there have been major advances in methods to reduce and live with the symptoms of Parkinson's disease, no cure has been found, but there is hope in the near future with the clinical trials currently being done. Some very famous people have had Parkinson's disease, which has contributed greatly to the amount of money to the research. Here are my references. That concludes the presentation. I hope you enjoyed.